Schefter says Kupp could still get traded if he's not released. He's going to get released on day one of the league year, which I think is Wednesday. Is that right, when free agency starts?
Yeah, tomorrow.
So there is a clock counting down. He just referenced Christian Kirk. We've talked about this a couple of times ourselves. Kirk was supposed to get released by the Jaguars. Turned out Houston finally said, you know what? We'll give you a 7th. We'll take on the contract. So there's two elements here. You can give up an asset for Cooper Kupp and bring him in on his contract. He can always restructure, but you're going to pay the money, and he's going to have some leverage with you on the money you pay him. Plus, you're giving up an asset, even if it's a 6th or 7th round pick, a late pick swap, whatever. Or you can wait till he gets released, roll the dice that he's going to choose you over everybody else. You're going to have the best package for Cooper Kupp in terms of compensation, but you're going to have to outmaneuver people. That's a dangerous road. If you hit it, that's a great needle to thread. You've given up no assets. You got them on your terms. That's a great needle to thread. I don't know that I fully trust the Patriots to land Cooper Kupp in that scenario. But, look, they landed a bunch of players yesterday. Maybe I should give them more benefit of the doubt.
But I don't love their chances of landing him. I think you have to trade for him. I think it's a no-brainer because it's not going to be a very high pick. You just got a pick for Devon Godchaux. I know it's a future pick, but whatever. You're stockpiling draft picks for the next couple of years. You can give up one to Cooper Kupp. I don't think you win that one. Yeah, they brought in a lot of players. How many offensive players did they bring in?
Morgan Moses, Josh Dobbs, Mac Hollins.
Okay.
So no one they had
quarterback.
Yep.
At best, a third receiver and probably a backup tackle. So, they got players, but you're not winning the Devontae Adams bidding war with other teams because other teams will offer Kupp some money, and those other teams probably are playoff teams.
Yeah,
or probably have a better more established
they're going to give him a chance
quarterback
to win. Yeah.
And so if he wants to say that, right, and this is the guy who has already won, but the money will probably be somewhat even everywhere. And so even if the Patriots, we saw it with Chris Godwin, for God's sakes, even if they offer more money, there's no guarantee. So you got to take that choice out of his hands, bring him here, then negotiate the deal, figure it out, play it up to him, the whole opportunity compensation, you're the number one receiver, all this other stuff. I don't love the chances of him hitting the open market tomorrow and then of all the teams bidding, him saying, yes, New England makes the most sense.
So I'm with you. And if it just takes a 7th round pick like Christian Kirk, you have it
in a second.
You have your own, which who even cares? But if you did care about it, you got an extra one from the Godchaux trade.
Yep.
If you're trading Joe Milton, chalk up another draft pick that's coming in.
And his contract isn't insane where even if you can't negotiate it, right, that you wouldn't pay him.
Well, I don't think so, but isn't the league telling you that no one wants to pay the contract because no one's trading for him?
Yeah,
and they've had a lot of time to trade for him.
But this goes back to the Patriots have to overpay. The Patriots are going to have to overpay to get a guy like that. Otherwise, you're going to see Devontae Adams play somewhere else. You're going to see Chris Godwin stay in Tampa Bay. You're going to see DK Metcalf go somewhere else. That's how it goes.
Beyond Cooper Kupp, and we've honed in on that name today. He's about to get released. Do you think the Patriots should trade for him? Do you think they should or will be able to outmaneuver other teams for him? How much do you trust him based on Kraft's spending yesterday? They landed some players, all on defense. Significant players anyway, all on defense. You can jump in here, 617-779-7937. But you brought up Chris Godwin. Adam Schefter yesterday said Godwin left millions on the table by re-signing with the Bucs. I think Rap Sheet said it was $20 million more he left on the table. He didn't name the team. Schefter did. Schefter said the Patriots went hard on Godwin and offered him much more money than the Bucs. Ultimately, Godwin chose to stay in Tampa and sign for less. Should we take that at face value? Do you think that's a creative narrative from the Patriots? They were willing to spend on defense.
So
they supposedly had the most money out for Brandon Ayuk last year. They also told us with a straight face, Robert Kraft said they had the best offer for Calvin Ridley, and it wasn't about finance. So should we take that at face value? Do we believe the Patriots had the best financial offer for Godwin and he just wanted to stay in Tampa?
So I choose to believe it this year. If they did it last year, you'd say no. Based on what? What are you going to fall back on? Now they could say, what are you talking about? We offer Carlton Davis more than anybody else. Got him. We offer Milton Williams more than anybody else. The guy practically signed in Carolina. We were able to swoop in, give him over $100 million. We got him. We got a bunch of other guys. We spent damn near $300 million. So why would we lie about this one? I agree. I mean, I know Schefter and Rappaport definitely can be fed information and put out what teams want them to put out. I'm aware of that. But I think in this case, it's also because it's such a glaring need and the guy is such a good player. I bet they did offer him that. And I also think he's like, I'm good. I'll stay here in Tampa.
Okay, so if we want to take it at face value, they offered the most money for Ayuk. They offered the most money for Godwin. So on the one hand, you'd say they're going to offer the most for Kupp if they want him. And we're projecting here, but if they want him, they're going to offer the most money.
But he might not choose you.
Thank you. At the same time, you've offered other receivers the most money, and you haven't got them. So taking a step
back. And both
of
those guys stayed with their teams, so maybe they were comfortable. They're both on good teams.
True.
I mean, the Niners had a bad year, but like they're both better teams, and they were just comfortable in their places. Whereas Cooper Kupp is not going back to the Rams.
Nope.
So there is, I guess you'd have to say, a little bit better chance that you could convince him to sign with the Patriots because he's already going to have to start anew. He's going to be on his next team in the NFL. But I take all of that chance out of it and just trade for him and then figure it out, try to work out a contract.
Does any of that say anything about your quarterback, Drake May? Like, Mike Vrabel has landed players on defense, and Mike Vrabel seems like defensive players. The Patriots have to pay for them, but defensive players will take your money to come play for Mike Vrabel. On offense, there's a bit of a track record. Maybe we'll see it play out. There's a bit of a track record of guys who are not taking your money to play either for Mike Vrabel or to play with Drake May. Is there anything there?
Could be. I mean, until they sign somebody that we think is like a real stud-type player, right? They got all kind of backups right now on offense. And this will be something to ask Tom Curran about because it feels like here locally, Drake May is a huge draw. Like, oh, look at this guy. They found their quarterback. And I know he didn't have the success as the team that Jaden Daniels had, but both had great rookie years. You would think guys would line up to play with Drake May more so than, a Caleb Williams from a year ago. But we haven't seen it yet. And maybe it's just Godwin or, who knows? They themselves didn't seem like they were interested in DK Metcalf. So, like, how many guys just said, no, I'm not interested? Although maybe they heard that Metcalf wasn't interested. And, like, what are all the reasons? It can't just because it was cold, because it's cold in Pittsburgh.
It's very cold in Pittsburgh. So what's their other pivot? If it's not...
So I was looking at the wide receivers, and somebody asked on the text line,
if it's not Kupp, who is it? Amari Cooper is available.
So it's a big drop-off. The next 5 wideouts are all old dudes who would fit the rich rules of were really good not too long ago.
Okay.
Amari Cooper, Steph Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Deontay Johnson.
Okay, out of those names, out of those 5, Diggs might not be ready week 1. Hopkins might be cooked. Who are some of the other ones? You
Amari
said
Cooper, Keenan Allen.
I still believe in Keenan Allen. I believe in to a degree.
He could also be Haas of the week. Keenan Allen looks like he ate Keenan Allen.
Deontay Johnson.
No, I can't do it. And I like a talent, and I like putting up with headaches. But like for this team, no. Good Lord.
Okay.
Deontay Johnson, no.
Number 1 name on that list. Who would you go with?
Probably Diggs.
Even if he's not ready week 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amari Cooper was ready all last year, and he stunk.
I know, but he was really good the year before. And so he was not great to start in Cleveland.
He was so useless in Buffalo that shakes me to the core.
That scares me less. What would scare me more is how terrible he was to start in Cleveland. Like wide receivers switching offenses in the middle of the year, I'd give him a bit of a free pass on that. I wouldn't say don't pay any attention to it.
But I look at the quarterback. Like, if you suck with Deshaun Watson at this point, I get it. Like, who wouldn't? But then you suck with Josh Allen. Like, how's that work?
Yeah, so I'm more alarmed about his slow start, even with the crappy quarterback in Cleveland.
Like, Mac Hollins was better than Cooper in Buffalo.
Right. Mac Hollins had a whole offseason to learn the offense and do that. And so out of those 5 names, I don't love any of them.
I mean, neither.
Out of those 5, I'm Cooper. We mentioned yesterday maybe we're sleeping on Steph Diggs. I dug in more on that injury. I don't think he's going to be ready for the start of the year. So I think I'm back to out on Diggs.
What about, and we both didn't love Shime's latest mock draft, and he was talking about Ted McMillan. And maybe not at 4. He had him trading down. But based on the way free agency has gone thus far, are you more open to a wide receiver in the first round?
No. Well, in the first round, maybe. Not at 4 or in the top 10.
Okay.
No, I don't like McMillan.
No, me neither. I mean, Travis Hunter, I would say, like, can play wideout, and that's sort of different. But we've already talked about him.
I view him as a corner.
Yeah, like straight wideouts, I still don't want in the first round.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking about moving up from 38 into the late first round, I'll take a receiver there, and I might be more open to that. But in the top 10, no. I'm not a McMillan guy. Matthew Golden, I think, has moved to the number 1 wide receiver on Jeremiah's board. I'm not taking him in the top 10.
No.
So if you're talking in the 20s, sure. And at 38, definitely.
Mike Williams, Tyler Lockett, Elijah Moore, Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman.
This is terrible.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Okay.
Brandon Cook.
Let's look at some of the – I'm sorry, Brandon Cook?
Cooks.
Okay, I was going to say. I was like, wait,
lost the S.
I wanted a singular.
I was like, is there another Brandon Cook I'm unaware of?
Nick Westbrook-Akine. He had that streak last year, didn't he? Where he had like 1 million touchdowns?
Yes.
Did he play for Vrabel?
Until he was in the Bozo touchdown parlay. He played in Tennessee. I don't know if he actually played for Vrabel or not, but probably,
so.
yeah.
He's been there for a couple years.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, he for sure played for Vrabel. Yeah, he's been there for 5 seasons.
So if it's
that's what they'll get.
Mac Hollins and Nick Westbrook-Akine as like your 3 and 4, I'm okay.
9 touchdowns last year.
I'm okay with that, but you still need Kupp and somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the A.J. Brown dream, perhaps?
Okay,
or is there another receiver out there? And sometimes it can happen overnight, where right now everybody is living great and everybody's happy, and then all of a sudden some receiver is going to be like, I don't want to be here anymore. It's like you just signed a contract, and then they want out. So between now and the draft, could there be a receiver that we haven't talked about that wants to leave
A.J.
teams?
Brown got traded at the draft. Hollywood Brown got traded at the draft. Like, that was all that same year. And Hollywood Brown
Brandon Cooks got traded at the draft.
Thank you. So, like,
Brandon Cooks has been traded like so many times.
He has been. And so
many times.
Sorry, Brandon Cook.
Guys get traded on draft night for sure. And like Pickens is a name we've I've been talking about George Pickens since long before DK Metcalf even went to Pittsburgh. I think they're sick of him. And so I think there's a real chance he moves. A.J. Brown is a name that you've brought up a bunch, Keefe, that maybe not, is still in play.
I think he might be.
Like other trade options, maybe Chris Olave, maybe still Ayuk, but realistic names on free agency, it's already pretty picked over. And so if you sign Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp.
Amari Cooper Kupp.
That'd
be my fantasy team name.
All of a sudden, those are 2 professional receivers, but
before and after.
But like one had a terrible year, and the other's been hurt for 3 straight years.
They should have just drafted Ladd McConkey. That would have been better. I'm looking at the top receivers. They should have just drafted him. He was right there.
What? He was right there. And
instead of trading out of that spot and getting 2 scrubs, they should have just taken him.
That would have been the way to do it.
That I would have preferred.
That would have been a better move.
A lot better. All right, what about Jacoby Myers?
That's another option.
Feels
via
somewhat
trade.
inevitable.
Okay, Kupp and Myers.
You're an NFL team, I guess.
Yeah.
I like that.
Would you rather Kupp and Myers than Kupp and Cooper? I probably would.
Yes,
Actually,
I would.
I just said Kupp and Cooper, so yeah.
I would. Jacoby Myers, Cooper Kupp, you're not going to, be a top 5 offense, but it's a huge upgrade from what it was a year ago. At least Drake May would have some stability. I don't know if either one of them are really like game breakers, but good players who will catch the ball. Last year, that was a big issue. And they'll stay in bounds. They'll run the right route. Like, I'm in on those guys.
617-779-7937. Kraft finally spent, for the first time since 2021. You think this is a new reality, Keefe, or is this another shot in the arm like 2021 where they spent that year $250 million? This year they're spending or trending in that very same direction. We'll see what else they do here. But is this a one-off shot in the arm, or is this the new reality?
Well, the history of the Patriots would kind of suggest it's sort of a one-off for now. It doesn't mean they'll never do it again, but I feel like they spend big. I think, was it Kraft or Belichick? Did they both talk about this? They're on the record being like, you sort of like spend and then you have to like reset the books for like your future for like 3 years and then you can go up again.
That was Robert.
It was Robert did. So I think they'll probably spend again in 2028. Like, that's kind of my guess. Now, what will be interesting is some of the re-signings, because you remember, sort of jumping around here a little bit, but when they didn't re-sign Darrelle Revis, which ended up being a good call because he ended up getting just like out of shape and wasn't very good anymore, but they brought him in one and done, and there was talk about keeping him or whatever, and they didn't, and they pointed to, well, we have all these guys. We got Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, Malcolm Butler, and there was
Chandler
one
Jones.
And Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, Malcolm Butler, and there's one other one. But anyway, like, we got to re-sign all these guys. And they only re-signed Hightower. They traded Jones. We know what happened with Malcolm Butler. And man, I forget. There was one other guy, and you're like, what the hell? Like, what happened there?
Yeah.
And so,
right, the logic sounded good when they let Revis go, but then they paid basically none of those guys.
So now we're in a different spot where
Twitch chat, credit to Clappy Cheeks 10, as always.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jamie Collins.
So they traded him too. So they had all these young guys on that 14 defense that were awesome, and they really only kept one.
And didn't they let Hightower basically walk, and then he came back?
Yes, he did the thing where he tested it. I figure it was Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was Pittsburgh. They offered him this, then they went and they gave him the same deal or whatever. Similar like Devin McCourty, I think, prior to that. But Christian Gonzalez and Drake May are both at least trending towards monster contracts.
Yeah.
they haven't had to pay like their own guys monster deals in a while.
No, we all celebrated the Barmore contract, which is nice and I think worth it. But
yeah.
that's going to pale in comparison to these.
No, these two are going to be insane.
I mean,
if they're still good, and then from there, I am curious what they do. How do they surround those guys?
J.C. Horn just got 4 years, $100 million, $25 million AAV, passing Patrick Surtain. Like that's the floor for Gonzalez.
Because I am nervous about
There's
that.
actually a lot of corners going to get paid this year too.
So
Sauce
there you go.
Gardner's up this year.
So,
so
numbers going up.
Gonzo's everything's coming up Gonzo right now. But if you're not paying $25 million wide receivers, and I'm not saying they didn't try with Godwin, but just right now they don't have one of those guys. If you're not paying that while Drake May is on his rookie deal, how are you going to do that when he's making $50 million? Like that concerns me, but that's also down the road.
So I'm with you. I don't think it's the new reality, but I'm happy it's the reality for this offseason. They needed it. They needed it the last couple of years. They didn't do it. And they're finally getting around to doing it now. Some other news today in the NFL. Vikings signed Jonathan Allen, 3 years, $60 million. Javon Holland is a top 10 free agent off the board. He goes to the New York Giants. Otherwise, it's been pretty slow out there all day long. One of the bigger signings recently is Daniel Jones going to the Colts to compete with Anthony Richardson. The Eagles made another deal. They traded Chauncey Gardner-Johnson
to
the Texans.
to Houston, and then they got a lineman back.
So those are kind of the most significant moves out there
the
today.
Texans couldn't keep C.J. Stroud upright, so they're getting rid of all of his offensive linemen.
Seems like a bold strategy.
Well, I feel a little vindicated on this. Now, C.J. Stroud was worse last year, but I spent all offseason arguing with Curran, among other people, about all the pieces the Texans had and how the Texans improved overnight. And it wasn't just about adding the quarterback and C.J. Stroud. That was a big discussion last offseason, similar to how Jaden Daniels is a big discussion this offseason, and how the quarterback changed and everything changed. And it's like, well, Washington did have Terry McLaurin, and it's like they did. They also sucked with Terry McLaurin. Like the quarterback changed it all. And I said the same thing last offseason about Houston, and I always got Laramie Tunsil this and Laramie Tunsil that, and he was so great. They couldn't protect Stroud last year. He went for, I don't feel like a haul at all. It was a bunch of picks.
Tunsil? No.
But it was a 2 and a 3 is basically what it came down to.
Right.
And so, yeah, I feel like he's been a little overrated here and a little overrated for the work that Houston did in their offseason in the past. But, yeah, it's been a light day so far on day 2 of legal tampering would be my only point there. Haven't seen a ton of movement. Cam Robinson.
It was busy yesterday, though. It was very active yesterday.
Well, and this is, about when it picked up yesterday. Well, it's about when it opened yesterday, I should say.
True.
About 45 minutes from now. So Cam Robinson's still out there. Cooper Kupp should be out there soon. Those seem like the top names on the board. What'll the Patriots do? You can jump in. 617-779-7937. I just mentioned Curran. We'll talk to him at high noon. Get all the latest intel on the Patriots in free agency with it set to officially start tomorrow at 4 o'clock. A lot of tampering going on.